Hey everyone, we're here with JJ from CipherTrace. He'll be doing a talk on Under the Hood, how crypto investigation software is able to connect Bitcoin transactions to real-world entities to track criminal activity. I'll let you take it from here. And can you guys confirm in the chat that you can hear him once he starts speaking?
Hi, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Hello. This is John Jeffries. Can you hear me? Okay, great. So Shannon can hear me. So this is John Jeffries. I have multiple roles. I'm from CipherTrace. I'm the chief marketing officer, but I still, in fact, do know my stuff. I'm also the chief financial analyst at CipherTrace. And, as Jack was saying, one of the things we all need to do is really to educate the regulators and the lawmakers. So we spent a lot of time doing that. And my team publishes a report. Is my video not on? I'm not sure if the video is on. If it isn't, I apologize. It was working. I also run an organization called the Travel Rule Information Sharing Alliance, which, as Jack very nicely set up, is a group of industry experts and VASPs that are looking to address the travel rule issue in an open source manner that preserves privacy. So we're about 60 entities. We recently announced our directory system, a certificate authority in the board of directors, which includes Paxful, Ripple, and MIT, myself, and Dave Jevons, our CEO. So we're looking to really help address this. This talk, I have a lot of slides, so I'm going to go rather quickly. I think my friend from Bitfury and Jack from Electric Coin really set up the stage. So I'm going to blast through some of these setup slides fairly quickly, and then move into some of the meat. Let me just see if I can help make the video work real quick. Yeah. Okay, so in the spirit of yesterday, I'm going to start with some assumptions about you've made about blockchain analytics. So number one, I assume that everyone here agrees that recovery of stolen assets is a good thing. And if you are frauded or what is this strange thing? If you're frauded or victim of a theft, you're going to want your money back. That's something I think we can all agree upon. Financial privacy is very important, and I agree wholeheartedly with Jack with respect to that. And as a company, we definitely respect people's privacy and companies' privacy. Now, one thing that is contentious is whether or not AI and ML are inherently evil. I personally don't think they are. And then one thing that a lot of people don't fully understand is that blockchain analytics doesn't have any private information about people. So we don't have any PII. We don't track customer information. We don't operate a KYC system. And so, sorry, there's a strange lag going on. I'm watching this on my other laptop, and there is a strange lag. But we don't have any personal information. So I also think you would all agree with the FATF that all of these things that they're trying to prevent are bad for society, and that everything from murder to terrorism are all very bad things that we should all be vigilant against. And so without being too heavy-handed, I'm just going to blast through this and talk about why you should care. Is that there have been a series of enforcement actions over the last several years. Starting with BTCE, then we saw AlphaBay. Somebody who was trading on AlphaBay go to jail for a couple of years, followed by Eric Powers, followed by a U.S. bank officer, risk officer, actually receiving personal fines We saw the Helix mixer arrest in Ohio of this year after laundering $311 million. OFAC caught some Chinese nationals laundering money through North Korea for a ransomware gang. And just last month, we saw an unlicensed Bitcoin ATM in Los Angeles be arrested. So, the regulators are worried about this, and they think that we should all do our parts to try to mitigate illicit activity and things that harm society. So, quick advertisement. CipherTrace is, our goal is really to make the blockchain economy safe for users and also trusted by governments. And as Jack was saying, part of that process is an educational process, and helping them understand. And the data, the blockchain analytic data that we have, really helps them to better understand how dirty cryptocurrencies really are, or more specifically, are not. So one of the things that we hear a lot is that crypto is just it's typically used for oh, there we go, I'm live. So cryptocurrencies are largely used for crime and things like that. And so through the analysis that my team does, we're able to demonstrate that crypto really isn't as bad as everyone might think. And really, as we showed, and the reason I showed that other slide is that we're really trying to protect financial institutions from the risk of cryptocurrency crimes and money laundering risks. And as individuals, they all have very personal stakes in making sure that they are complying with some of these laws, at least in regulated regimes. And part of the reason why is that the whole cryptocurrency space is just too big to resist for many regulators. And so I'm going to have to click like 5 seconds ahead. So we're seeing the market cap of cryptocurrencies approximate those the size of traditional credit cards, and that really gets the regulators' attention when it's that sizable. Partially because of the damage that such large amounts of money could cause, and at the same time, the payments we see are extremely high. So, what they're really focused on is, as Jack was saying, is the things that they consider to be other financial institutions, which are literally VASP. So, a VASP is a financial institution, and thereby the regulators largely think that it's something that needs to be regulated, and in fact will be regulated throughout most of the G20 countries. So, like it or not, regulation is coming, and it's coming fast in the next 12 months, and which is why we spun up the TRISA organization to help the community comply with those regulations. So, I'll now get into the meat of the talk, which is really, how do we do what we do? And so, there's really two parts of the equation. There is the algorithms. So, it's essential to have, really good algorithms that are smart, but the clustering technology that is the foundation is has been well studied and well documented through numerous PhD students and numerous university studies, and we see that clustering is sort of one of the core enablers of this. But it's just like a search algorithm, right? The algorithms themselves are very nuanced, and just like with any machine learning technologies, the quality of the data that you feed these supervised and unsupervised, or these algorithms, is critical to the quality of the output. So, as we talk about what we do, one is I can't get into the algorithms because that's a lot of the secret sauce, and where some of our algorithms are patentable, and there's a lot of issues around and techniques to eliminate false positives that we've been able to achieve that are fairly unique to CipherTrace as a company. But as my predecessor said, we're really looking at de-anonymizing business entities. So virtual asset entities on the blockchain, not people. And we're really looking to identify both exchanges and also different forms of risky behavior. So some of those forms of risky behavior, such as gambling, are perceived differently in different parts of the world, and are, may not be considered bad outside of the U.S. versus, pretty much anywhere you go, ransomware and malware are considered very, very bad. And ransomware as a scourge is really taking off. So we think a lot about that and how we can help with that. In fact, we just if you look at the study that we did with McAfee on NetWalker, we're able to help them analyze and identify some of the perpetrators of that. So, as I said, it's a combination of the attribution data and the algorithms, and really, the attribution is critical, right? So we actively collect attribution. So we actually open accounts all across the blockchain, all different types of entities, and also move money around. We operate blockchain nodes, but as a company, a lot of us, most of the executive staff and a lot of the team have a deep heritage in cybersecurity as well. So we take a very active approach to identifying and targeting and really threat hunting these threats, and we're able to bring in millions and millions of pieces of attribution every week. And so the algorithms themselves are both continuously consuming and processing and updating all of the data within the system. So it is a very, very large data problem. And that's the essence of essentially what we're doing. At the same time, we have access to very unique private sources of data through organizations like the Anti-Phishing Working Group. We have some verified user feedback from trusted users. In the field, we have private threat intelligence feeds. We have an entity that we work with called the CipherTrace Defenders League, which is a group of students that we have trained. So we operate a certified CipherTrace examiner training program. So what we've done is we've, in fact, certified and trained dozens of master's level students, typically who are doing a specialty in financial crimes at schools like Middlebury and Middlesex University in the UK. We've just recently signed up Utica, and then the Blockchain Acceleration Foundation through Cameron Dennis, who many of you know, are also active participants as well through the various different UCs in California. So that's another area that we use to collect data and or another source of that data. But more importantly, the Defenders League is something we do to really try to make the cryptocurrency economy safer and help people recover funds. So it's a pro forma, pro bono effort by the students, and we provide the training and the tooling of those students for free. So it's a way to give back to the community and really help people recover some of their small funds or funds that law enforcement, both at a national and a local level, might consider too small to address. Although never to the individuals is it a small amount, and depending on the region, it could be $20,000 or $7 is a lot. So we're happy to help when we can, and the Defenders League is definitely a vibrant program to help with that. So back with what I was saying though. So one of the things we do is we actively collect this data, and we have a team of researchers and experts that collate and curate this data to validate it in multiple different ways to ensure that is this critical information is being used, that it's not being used in such a way that it's that's inaccurate. So the team will often cross-check and cross-validate numerous different ways to verify the veracity of their conclusions and verify that the attribution really points to where we think it does. So essentially, as I said, we're using this information to cluster, and that means to really associate wallets with wallets and addresses with different cryptocurrency entities, so that they can be grouped and be classified as such. So essentially what we're doing is, at the end of the day, creating a roadmap of the cryptocurrency ecosystem, such that people can trace the flow of funds through different businesses, not through people, but through different businesses, including exchanges, ATMs, and illicit sites. And that is typically how law enforcement will execute their investigation, is through one of these choke points. So once again, we don't do anything with individual custodial wallets, and we have no knowledge of who is the holder of those wallets. But what we're doing is putting all this together, the collection, the curation, and the interpretation, to really make meaning to the blockchain, and make meaning to what we're seeing in terms of the transaction flow. In many respects, what we're doing is akin to creating a yellow pages, where we're identifying the various different types of businesses by type, and allowing people to trace the funds through those financial institutions and through those illicit businesses. So as I indicated, it's a technology and a stack that consumes a lot of data, and so we're out here in the center of the Ring of Fire in the Silicon Valley, and we've been able to attract a lot of engineers from some of the internet giants that use some very cutting edge streaming capabilities, multi-cloud capabilities, to really consume and make sense and revise our understanding of these events and this attribution as it comes in. So this talk is largely about Inspector, which is our product that does cryptocurrency tracing for financial investigations. But at the core of it, what I've been describing is what we call cryptocurrency intelligence. So on top of that, we have other products. We have products that help banks understand the risk associated with cryptocurrency businesses, so they can take them on and accept them safely as customers. And we also have a product called Sentry, which uses the same information to help exchanges and other VAS make sure that they're complying with the anti-money laundering laws. So as Jack was saying, the Financial Action Task Force has issued some guidance with respect to virtual assets, and specifically that guidance includes the travel rule and the information that gets sent, but it also implies a risk-based approach to managing money laundering risks. And so our product Sentry provides transaction ratings to help with that as well. And so now into the fun stuff. So I have a few tracing examples for you. I'll start with one of the things that we do is to visually present the transaction flows, and so that really helps sort of visualize some of the nuanced speak that the anti-money laundering specialists use. So they'll use a term like layering, and so layering and peeling is a technique that criminals use to really break the funds up into small amounts. So here you can see, many of you may have remember the Binance theft from 2019, where 40 million was stolen. This is much of those funds didn't move for several months, and then suddenly in July of 2019 we saw it make a sprint. So here you can see over 1,000 BTC making a sprint for the door, and it gets spliced off into little small amounts of 19.99 BTC over and over again as it gets broken up. And at the end of the flow, you can see it flowing into the yellow circle there, which is a mixing service. So that's a classic example of how funds are peeled away, and how as money is laundered, it's broken up into smaller components. So once again, we saw something very, very similar with respect to the Twitter hack, where we could see, the money being sent to various different mixing services throughout. We also witnessed the funds from the Twitter hack moving into casinos, which you can see here in a second, it flowing into a casino. Also you can see it flowing into various different exchanges. So that's a good example of how the money, cryptocurrencies tend to flow and move through the cryptocurrency economy, and how it starts to make its getaway. And so when you look at the whole thing, the whole sort of the Twitter hack in its entirety, you can see the various different exchanges, P2P marketplaces, mixing services, where sorry, I'm waiting for the video to catch up. So you can see where the funds are flowing out as they get highlighted through these exchanges, through P2P marketplaces, and it tends to get broken into smaller and smaller chunks. So there's a one use case that we're all very familiar with and probably saturated with, but it shows you how complicated at the end of the day some of these cryptocurrency investigations can be. I think another, as I said, one of the big issues right now that we're all experiencing, or a lot of businesses are experiencing, is ransomware. So we have a very in-depth analysis of the WannaCry ransomware, and how it flowed sort of logically through to different P2P services. Here you see in the red you have the WannaCry wallets, and then it's bouncing out to Changelly, to Shakeshift, to local Bitcoin, and then eventually it bounces into a couple of exchanges as well. And so, in a more simplified view, if you were to consolidate what it looks like to see each of those 283 wallets flowing into the traditional payment networks in the cryptocurrency world, you can see in this next slide how it comes through. A much more simplified view, but you can also see how they're consolidating the 283 wallets and consolidating until finally they head for the off ramp. And so the off ramps tend to be where the law enforcement goes to try to identify individuals. So KYC'd exchanges provide access to that data, and as I mentioned, we don't, which is a common misconception. Here's an example of terrorist financing, which came out just last week through the DOJ. Here you can see some terrorists suggesting that you should deposit via Bitcoin, and you can see in the coming slides that the funds actually flowed through an exchange. The blue circle indicates an exchange, and you can see the funds flowing through there, the transaction in yellow into the terrorist wallet, and you can start to see it flow further and further out into the cryptocurrency ecosystem and into another exchange. So in another example, so there's an example of being able to follow the money forward and being able to trace it as it's making its getaway and hopefully freeze it. Many of you are aware that, and it's public knowledge, that we're helping Ethereum Classic with their investigation. And that's the hope and the intent, is to be able to stop and freeze those funds before they finally get peeled and split up too far, and actually help to recover those funds. Now, in this example, this is the reverse, where a drug dealer in Canada was caught with some cryptocurrency evidence, and claimed that it was from his trading profits, and in fact it wasn't. And so through blockchain analysis and cryptocurrency tracing, we're able to trace the source of the funds back to the dark markets, and really help make sure that those funds got secured, and he didn't receive the proceeds from the fentanyl trafficking. And so here we're able to show all of the source of his funds came from the Agora market, and he was, he obviously he was arrested, but he also was not able to recover the $2.5 million proceeds from there. So as I mentioned, we try to do a lot of education to the extent possible, and I encourage everyone to go to the website and download our cryptocurrency anti-money laundering report, which covers the latest trends. This year has been a pretty interesting year in terms of a lot of scams, very large scams, and all of that money needs to be laundered. So multi-billion-dollar scams, we're starting to see the flows through. We also track the latest trends in crimes, and from esoteric stuff like wallet hacks to major thefts, and keep you up to date on the regulatory landscape. And with that, I think I have a few minutes left for questions, if anyone has any questions. The history of coins as they circulate. In terms of the history of coins, when looking at the entire history of the coin, the concept that a coin is tainted for life is very, very dated. And so, what we really look for is for patterns of behavior and for where it was last seen safely. So, in the case of somebody who traded through some of these things, you try to look back to, where's the last place that, even if the coin, came through some dark markets, if it was channeled through, many hands and gone through many VASPs, those coins would then, be fine, or have a much lower risk rating. Any other questions? I miss the days when the investigations over financial transactions were not the focus of our lives. Well, I agree, and I don't think that the focus of our individual transactions is not what regulators and law enforcement are really looking towards. I think it's really trying to eliminate those nefarious activities, and that's a big part of making our world safe. So it's a trade-off, and I think it's important to be able to emphasize the privacy, especially as we pursue things like CBDCs and various different types of regimes are deploying them.
Cool. Thanks, JJ. This was really great. So we're going to transition to our next talk now.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.